Hey, I'm Srini, the creator of Maximize Your Output with Mem. Have you ever found yourself frustrated because your Mem Chat and Mem responses lose their Markdown formatting when you copy them? What if I told you there's a simple workaround that not only preserves your formatting, but also automates the entire process and allows you to preserve the formatting in just two keystrokes? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So let's get to it. So what I want to do in this video is show you how to preserve Markdown formatting when you get responses from Mem Chat. When you get a Mem Chat response, you'll probably notice that it doesn't preserve the formatting. So let me show you what I mean. I know this drives a lot of people crazy, and I was trying to find a workaround. So you have to go and do all of that all over yourself again. But there is actually a really simple workaround that I figured out, because what I was doing was basically copying this to a Markdown editor and then saving it and then copying it back into Mem. So I thought there had to be a better way to do this. So what we're going to go over in this video is how to set up an automation that basically allows you to copy your Mem Chat response, save it to a folder, and automatically import it into Mem using a Zapier automation. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to show this to you for Mac OS. You just have to figure out what it is. So it really comes down to being able to use shortcuts. But the first step is the parameters that you want to use for this. You have to define the process that you want to follow. So I realized what I was doing was I was copying the response from Mem Chat, putting it into a Markdown editor called Typora, and then saving it to a Dropbox folder. Now, those are three things that I thought could be very easily automated. And then I thought, okay, if we added one more layer to that and added a Zapier automation in, then we could automatically save our responses from Mem Chat directly into Mem and preserve all of the formatting. So the first step is really key because you need to know what the order of operations is going to be. So in this case, I basically said, okay, copy the response from Mem Chat, paste it into Typora, or you can use whatever your preferred Markdown editor is. And then I'm storing that response in a designated cloud folder, which in this case is just dropbox.com/memchat notes. Like, you can get that from your file information. All right, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to use the Shortcuts app on Mac OS that basically develops a script that you can use in order to set up an automation that automatically copies whatever you save from Mem Chat into a Markdown editor. And in my case, I'm using Typora, but you can actually specify any other type of Markdown editor you want to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Mem Chat just so we have something to work with. Make sure that you see that thing that says message copied, so that way we know that it's actually going to work. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a couple of different things. The first thing we have to do is we have to actually set up a shortcut. So you can see here, I have a script here. So basically when you set this up, what you're going to do is open the Shortcuts app, create new shortcut. And then what you're going to do from there is you're going to choose Apple script. So you can say run Apple script and you can put that over here. In this case, we're not going to save this, but we're going to use the one that we already have. So you can see here, what this basically does is it tells the Mac OS to follow whatever process I was using manually. So like anytime I copy something from Mem Chat, basically what it's going to do is it's going to open up Typora, paste that into Typora, and then save it into a specific folder. Since we copied some text already from Mem Chat, let's go ahead and play it and see what happens. So that's the other thing you want to do, is you want to make sure that you test this. So you can see right there, it actually has given me the folder, it's given me the title, and if we save this into Mem, we'll save this to this folder, that's it, we're done. We've saved this Mem Chat response. Now you're probably thinking, okay, well, that's great. How does this get into Mem? That's what we're going to do in the next step. The next step of this is going to be to set up a Zapier automation that takes care of all of that for us. So we've gone from basically having to copy and paste things, move back and forth, or not even retain the formatting, to getting this down to two keystrokes. But one other important thing here is setting up the keyboard shortcut. So let's actually do that before we go into our Zapier setup. So you can see here, if we go over to keyboard shortcuts, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to basically find the keyboard shortcuts. And what you'll need to do here is go over to services, and you'll see under services, we have different shortcuts. But you can see here, I have Mem to Markdown 2. It's just Command U. So that way, once you copy a response from Mem Chat, all you have to do is press the keyboard shortcuts in two keystrokes. We're going to set up an automation that allows us to automatically import this into Mem. So the automation is actually the simplest part of this. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go over to Zapier. And depending on whatever cloud service you use, it could be Dropbox, it could be Google Drive, it doesn't really matter. But this is going to be your trigger that basically tells it, okay, whenever there's a new file in my folder titled Mem Chat Notes, I want you to basically run this automation that creates a new mem. Now, one thing that you probably have noticed is that Mem Chat will actually put information that you didn't want in there at the top. So for example, it puts that little thing above the actual title, which makes it a hassle to know what the note was actually about. So what you can do is you can add this tiny little bit of code, and I'll include a file that you can just grab in the YouTube video description. They'll actually remove everything above where the title starts, where you have that little Mem Chat comments. So what we want to do is we want to remove that. So that way, when it comes into Mem, it comes in with a title that looks proper. And what you can see here is we have our actions. That was the very first note I saved. And so if we go back to our home screen, we should see another version of this video. Sometimes automations get a little bit delayed, but let's just do another test. We'll actually change the name just to be on the safe side. And we can just call it testing or something like that. And then it'll come in with that note. There it is right there. There you go. So now we've seen this brought into Mem, and we've retained all the formatting from Mem Chat without having to copy and paste. So basically, we've automated the entire process of copying the text from Mem Chat, pasting it into a Markdown editor, saving to Dropbox, and then automatically importing into Mem. So let's recap the steps really quick. So basically what you're going to do is decide what the parameters are for your automation. What Markdown editor are you going to use? Then you want to figure out what your keyboard shortcut is going to be in order to paste these Mem Chat responses, and then decide what that folder is going to be in order for you to save these notes. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to set up your shortcut on Mac OS, or if you Windows, we can modify this a little bit. And then we want to run this script to play and make sure it does what it's supposed to. And then last but not least, we want to set up our keyboard shortcut and make sure that it actually works when we run the keyboard shortcut. We want to basically set up a Zapier automation in which we basically choose our trigger is going to be whatever cloud storage we're using. Then we have a code step that removes the little title at the top or the little comment from Mem Chat. So that way it comes in properly titled. And then we then create a mem and our notes automatically get imported into Mem. And that in a nutshell is one of the workarounds for actually getting around this issue of Mem Chat not saving responses. As always, leave them in the comments below.